too.
Rio Vista. So you hear police sirens, the chief had to go get my wife out the stand.
Right.
Very rude. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, because those are being used there.
So if I sit down, circus,
We'll blame
you
Mr.
ever put the
Holder.
right place?
We'll blame Mr. Holder.
Yeah, pretty charming. I like to have them back at home.
Yeah.
Better go. Actually, a little bit was nice.
How long did you help that? How long did you go back?
I was fatigued and sick. But then
Good stuff.
What's going on, Mr. Ramos? It's very good to see you, yes, sir.
Evening, how are you doing?
Kathy joining us.
Peter.
Talking to somebody.
What do they say? It's okay if you talk to yourself, just don't answer.
Don't answer, right?
Yes, sir.
I call this meeting of the Castleberry ISD Board of Education to order. The record can show that a quorum of board members is present, that the meeting has been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Thank you all for being here this evening. I apologize if I appear a little rushed. I appear that way because I am. Right when I was leaving, a visitor and two sons showed up, and a confluence of events occurred, so I said, I gotta go to a board meeting. So, glad to be here tonight, thank you for being with us. So, we have an invocation, and Kenneth, are you ready for that? Would you rise, please, for our invocation?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for your guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We pray for our students as they're being educated at home or in person, and as they pursue their education in the midst of the pandemic. Enlighten their minds, and may they grow in peace and wisdom. For the administrators, teachers, support staff, we pray for your blessings over their lives, their work, their livelihood, and especially their families. In your name we pray.
As should have said at the beginning that this is a special meeting, actually. So we have just one item to attend to, and then we'll go to our regular meeting. First, we have to have communications from citizens. Ms. Branch, do we have anyone who wishes to speak to the board this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. So that will take us to our presentation item, 2019-20 Texas Academic Performance Report Paper.
Yes, Mr. Board President, Board of Education, we have Mr. Ken Cassidy, who is going to speak briefly on the taper report. Each year we are required to hold a special meeting and give the opportunity for folks to ask questions concerning our taper report. So, Mr. Cassidy, thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Ramos. Good evening, Mr. Board President and members of the Board of Education. Thank you for your attention this evening as we have our required public hearing. Digital copy has been placed in board book, and all in attendance should have a paper copy as I go through the different sections of our district's taper report. So before we begin, I'd like to showcase 2018 and 2019 taper report. And the reason being is that as we go through the document, some things were just carried over from the previous year. And I just wanted the board to remind the board that back in 2018, 2019, our accountability rating was B. We received a score of a B, and then we also met our special education determination status by meeting requirements. And that's important because if we go to this past year's taper report, 2019-2020, the accountability rating is that there was no rating because we were declared a state of disaster. And then also with our special education determination status, that was carried over as meet requirement. So the breakdown of the taper, the 2019-2020 district star performance, you'll see on pages 5 through 8. And due to COVID, the COVID-19 pandemic, the performance section of this year's report was not updated. That's why, again, it's important to realize that some of this stuff is carried over from 2018-2019. The star performance are shown on the report from those years. State, Region 11, district, and district subpopulations for the star performance are shown throughout all performance sections, and is broken down by grade level and subject. On page 9 of the district, you'll see district progress. Again, due to the COVID pandemic, that area was not updated, and then the academic growth was measured from 2018 and 2019. On pages 10 through 11, you'll see that that's district prior year and student success initiative. Again, that due to the COVID pandemic, that area was not updated, and you'll see, basically you're seeing progress scores from 2018 and 2019 that's reported, but not 2020. On pages 12 through 13, you'll also see a breakdown of the district star performance for bilingual education and English as a second language. Again, due to the pandemic, this area was not updated. Again, star performance are shown from 2018 and 2019, and it's broken down by all grade levels in ELA reading, math, writing, science, and social studies. On page 14, you'll see district star participation. Again, due to the pandemic, that portion of the report was not updated. Again, you're seeing participation rates from 2018 and 2019, and the percentages of participation of all tests are shown. Pages 15 through 17 is district attendance, graduation, and dropout rates. And so what's reported is actually 2017 and 18, and 18 and 19 data that's reported by the state. You have the attendance rate, annual dropout rate, 4-year and 5-year longitudinal graduation rates, and alongside the federal graduation rate. You also get to see the number of students that graduated either with recommended, distinguished, foundation, or a minimum graduation plan. On page 18, you'll see the district graduation profile. 2018 and 19 data is reported. Again, you'll see all subpopulations, graduation type, and SPED graduates that are broken down and compared to the state of Texas. On page 19 and 20, there's a couple of different areas under the CCMR portion of the taper. You'll see that 2017 and 18 and 18 and 19 data is reported. We have information about college-ready graduates, the number of TSI graduates, meaning who passed the TSI in ELA, math, and both subjects, dual course credits, AP, who met criteria in AP testing, students who may have received an associate's degree or on-ramps course credits. On the next page, you'll see information about college military ready graduates, those who had approved industry-based certifications, CTE coherent sequence coursework, U.S. Armed enlistment, and graduates with an advanced degree plan or graduates with a level 1 or level 2 certificate. On pages 21 through 22, you'll see other district CCMR related indicators based on 2017 and 18, and then 18 and 19. Again, that data is reported. Again, more information about TSIA for reading and math, CTE coherent sequences, completed course credits for college prep, AP results for all subjects, and SAT and ACT results. On page 23, you'll see district other post-secondary indicators. This is information about advanced dual credit course completion and graduates enrolled in higher education. You'll notice that the years go back a little bit further, and the reason being is that the state has to report, how many of our students actually went to college, and then they have to do the reporting. So sometimes that's why you see that lag of data in those years. On pages 24 through 26, you'll see district student information. And so this is based on 2019-2020 data that was submitted at the October snapshot date, along with district staff information on pages 27 through 29, which just breaks down, the number of staff members we have, the years of service, degree plans, ethnicity, those kinds of things. And then just as a reminder, the copy of the district's taper report alongside the campus taper reports are on the website. These are found on this tab here under the accountability part of the website. And if a parent or somebody else from the public wishes to view this, a paper copy is provided at the campus or the district level. And again, this is the TEA website, so anyone can basically go to the TEA website, type in Castleberry, and pull down this report as well. So that concludes the presentation for this evening. Are there any questions?
Basically, it doesn't tell us much, does it?
No. Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments from anybody? The public hearing? Okay. Then I move we adjourn. Hearing no objection, we stand adjourned at 5:39 p.m. So again, I call this meeting to order the Castleberry Independent School District Board of Education. We have a quorum of members present. And I would mention that Kathy Gatika is with us, but she's joining us remotely. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Dr. John?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So we have all board members present. Hello, Kathy, wherever you are. So I have to ask you again, Ms. Branch, do we have any communications from citizens?
No, we do not.
All right. Dr. Ramos, are there any questions concerning the consent agenda?
No, Mr. Board President.
Okay. So that brings us to our regular meeting presentation items. And I think we have some campus improvement plans. Dr. John?
Yes, Mr. Board President, Board of Education, and I will take this time before we introduce our first principal. Dr. Richland typically gives the introductions to these three wonderful ladies. However, she did experience a death in her family over the weekend, and so that's why she is not present this evening. Certainly lots of thoughts and prayers going towards her and her family at this point in time. So this is the time of the year that our elementary principals come before the board to get an update on where they currently are in their campus improvement plan. And so certainly we are very intrigued on hearing all the great things that are going on and also some of the obstacles that they have encountered and have been able to overcome along the way as well. So let's get things started with Ms. Michelle Strandler, our principal at A.D. Cato.
Good evening, Ms. Carroll.
Good evening. Good evening, school board members, Mr. Holder, and Dr. Ramos. I'm here to share with you A.D. Cato's middle of the year CIP update. This won't go very well unless I put my reading glasses on. We're going to start with some of our challenges. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is important to remember during challenging times like these. The lower levels of the pyramid must be met in order to reach the purple level, which is where learning and higher level problem solving occur. With 90% of our students already food insecure prior to the pandemic, it is safe to say this is an area of concern. The bottom two levels make up our basic needs. Love and belonging is the yellow level. We have all been challenged with the decreased sense of connection during the pandemic, which falls in this yellow area. ABC has lost 3 fathers to COVID-19 and has had many more hospitalized and quarantined. These losses and illnesses cause a major disruption to families and students. School and learning take a back seat to their very real challenges they're dealing with. We've had 33 staff members and 112 students who've had to quarantine. Offering remote and in-person learning and switching back and forth between the two have added stress and additional responsibilities to all staff members. Just imagine having 15 5-year-olds in person and 5 more online at the same time. A teacher has to manage the learning and safety of those 15 students while attempting to keep the 5 remote engaged as well. It's quite a challenge. These are a few of our safeguards and action steps that we have put in place to overcome some of the pandemic challenges. We have all of our daily COVID procedures, and we are in the process of revoking some remote learning for some of our students who are not connecting. Our counselor, social worker, and even our CISD resource officers are assisting with getting students connected or back to in-person learning. We are also using tutoring, Pace Saturdays, online platforms, and fun events to close achievement gaps and encourage engagement. We started the second 6 weeks with 61% of our students in person, and we are currently at 77% of our students actually on campus for in-person learning. Next, we're going to look at some of our middle of the year data. When we look at our campus goals in Domain 1, our goal is to increase from 71 to 73 on the accountability system. Kindergarten, first and second are HB3 goals. For kinder, the goal is to increase to 69% on the Text-Kia. First grade is to increase to 56% on the TPRI and Tejas-Lay. And second grade, the goal is to reach 84% on TPRI and Tejas-Lay. Our HB3 goals were required to be written as 5-year goals and based on if a student is on or above grade level. The purple represents our beginning of the year, teal is our middle of the year, and orange is our 5-year goal. All of our HB3 graphs follow the same pattern. You can see the drop in the middle of the year on the English, and that drop is due to the changes in the assessment. The middle of the year test was more like an end of year assessment, with several of the skills having not even been taught yet. Spanish has had a steady growth with none of our students in the does not meet category, so that's exciting. When looking at first grade, you'll see that our TPRI level has already surpassed our 5-year goal. Tejas-Lay has steady improvements as well. If the current growth continues, we will get to set new goals at the end of year 1 instead of year 5. In second grade, TPRI had a 16% increase and Tejas-Lay improved by 37 percentage points. Our growth on the Imagine Math platform is very exciting. The goal is to grow 50 quantiles, and our growth ranges from 30 all the way up to 144 quantiles. Now we'll look at our benchmark data. Although the state trend is showing the largest learning loss in math, at AB Cato, our losses are the highest in the area of reading. The fuchsia color is last year's fall benchmark, and the purple is this year's. You can see we had a loss in the English scaled score, but our Spanish testers scored the same as last year. For fourth grade, we had a dip in both English and Spanish. In fifth grade reading, we had a decline in English, but a 21-point increase in Spanish. Now we'll look at math. Third grade increased, while fourth and fifth had small decreases. Both of those losses are slight, and I think we'll be able to regain that ground. When we look at writing, our combined in fourth grade writing is down by 7 points. English is actually up by 3, and the decline is in Spanish writing with 10. Our teachers have created some very targeted interventions, and I'm looking forward to our spring benchmarks this week. In science, we had a drop of 9 points, but our unit assessments have shown steady growth, and I think we'll see a lot of progress on our next benchmark. Now we'll look at initiatives and action steps for target areas. We'll start with early literacy. In my opinion, the Heggerty phonemic awareness and daily foundational skills routines are why we are seeing such gains on our HB3 goals. Our students continue to benefit from iStation, RAS Kids, and our reading interventionist support. As a part of high reliability schools, we are focused on effective teaching, and the pandemic has also forced us to monitor educational continuity for in-person and remote students. Much time is committed to quality Canvas lesson plans and monitoring them. TLI is doing an amazing job in supporting us with Canvas and adjusting our guiding documents to account for learning loss and the mastery of missed skills. As I mentioned at the beginning, our families, students, and staff are enduring great stresses, and it's vitally important for us to provide social and emotional support. These are a few of the ways that we are providing, and our teachers and staff are working very diligently to close gaps through tutoring and PACE Saturdays. We currently have 9 teachers on campus who are tutoring during the week after school, and our PACE Saturdays have been really strong. Our first Saturday, we had 88 students, the second, 122, and this past Saturday, we had 103 students. We are also trying to keep as many of our fun activities as possible, like the spelling bee, career day, and our dress-up days that the whole community enjoys. AV Cato is still on our Trolls World Tour, where we visit and learn about a new country every week. We are celebrating diversity and learning that real harmony takes lots of voices, different voices. Thank you for your time and your support of AV Cato.
Any questions? Anybody? So I have 2.
Okay.
As leaders, of course, we have special responsibility to address the challenges that our teachers especially. So you said you're doing the celebrations. Are you doing other things to support your teachers?
We do celebrate them every week, and every teacher is a little different, and so what they need is different. Like, for example, we had a teacher who was actually in ICU for 5 days with COVID, and so helping her and supporting her was a little different than just normal, but everyone is kind of at a different point on the continuum of how scared or not scared they are and those kind of things, and so we're just adjusting to what our teachers need. So again, there's not just one set thing that we are doing for everyone. It's all individually based on what they need.
So is morale pretty tenuous, or is it?
So I think our morale is pretty good, to be honest with you. It's stressful, don't get me wrong. It's super stressful. I mean, but we just as an admin team try to really tell them we're here for them, and we try to take as much off their plate as we can. Some things we don't have any control over, but we just do the best we can to support them, and they know that we're there for them, you know, for anything. So that's been the biggest piece. It's just we're all in this together.
You mentioned that the mid-year assessment tested things that we hadn't taught. So what's the source of that? Do you get that from the state? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
And our beginning of the year was really high. We were actually not too far off from our 5-year goal. And that was very typical of a kindergarten assessment, which would be you show them a letter, they tell you the sound, or you know, you show them a letter, they tell you the name of the letter. But they got a little bit more in depth in the middle of the year, and they did like vowel teams and consonant digraphs and consonant blends, which are much farther along in the year. And so I guess they want to see where we need to get to. So that was the change. It was more accurate and age appropriate at the beginning of the year. In the middle of the year, the rigor shot real high.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Tracy.
Just real quickly, I feel really good about these numbers. I think that you should celebrate your school and yourself and your kids and the parents. And I'm just, Dr. Ramos, I was wondering how you feel about where we are with these numbers.
Sure, so as you saw, I think, so I'll give you a perfect example. Ms. Smith-Bogner kind of talked to the board about where we are compared to the state. Certainly, we're never happy with when kids regress in their learning, right? But I can certainly say this, I have an opportunity to visit with a lot of superintendents, a lot of board members. We are extremely blessed at the point that we are right now. We don't have teachers walking out. We don't have teachers retiring. We don't have teachers refusing to come to work in person. I know your 5th grade science scores dropped 9 points. We know we're not happy with that, but when you compare that to the state and it's over 50 points, we're doing something right. And when I say we, our teachers, our administrators, our TLI team, I will also say this. I've had an opportunity to visit classrooms, pay Saturdays. Those teachers put in long days on, Monday through Friday, and they come in on Saturday morning with the same energy they started the week with. And so I can tell you that even though the academic gains are where they're certainly not where we want them to be, I can tell you we are certainly primed to be able to address any dip, slide, whatever you want to call it, that our nation is going to see and is seeing. And I will certainly say this, it's not because teachers and administrators aren't trying. I have yet to meet an administrator or a teacher who wakes up every morning saying, how do I mess up a kid's life today, right? And so I feel very confident in where we're going, and I really believe the next 5 years, hence why we're starting our strategic planning already, these are going to be absolutely crucial times the next 5 years that we're heading into. And we haven't even had a chance to talk to the board about how the ELA or RLA TEKs have changed. Surprise, it's not getting any easier. And so we'll certainly have another opportunity to be able to talk to the board about that. So I feel really good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Everett. Who will be next?
All right, so next we have Miss Michelle Stapp, our principal at Castleberry Elementary, who will also be sharing some great tidbits of information for us.
Good evening.
Good evening, sorry. Maybe I'll get it off my earring and maybe I won't. And I'll just let it hang.
I have to say probably the staff.
Yeah, with your earrings, yeah. Well. Okay, so good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Ramos, and Cabinet. We're just going to take an earring off. Thank you for allowing me to present February's edition of our CE Campus Improvement Plan. Our theme is on here, and it is whether you are at your house or you are at our house, we will continue to be a house of excellence. So some COVID challenges that we have faced this year include blending remote and in-person learning, classes having to be moved into remote due to being quarantined, our PLCs being canceled due to lack of substitutes, and Canvas prep time. We have also been working very hard on how to motivate disengaged remote learners. Another challenge for COVID-19 is remote students not showing up to take the assessments that we need them to take. The limitations in classrooms have been a challenge this year as well. We've had to decrease partner collaboration. We've had students sitting apart and ensuring that we're following all safety protocols with manipulatives that need to be utilized in the classroom. But in the second 6 weeks, we were half and half. We were 50 and 50 for face-to-face and remote. We have steadily increased with face-to-face learners in the third and fourth 6 weeks. Some interesting statistics is 25 classes have been quarantined over since the second 6 weeks and 26 staff, but that's not including the individual students that have been quarantined as well. So we have worked hard to overcome the challenges that we face with COVID-19. For students, we have revoked remote learning. We have continued with our daily screenings per our district protocol. We have worked with all staff to provide incentives for engagement. We are continuing to make daily contact with families to ensure engagement with Canvas, and we are promoting iStation and Imagine Math to close gaps. Thankfully, with Canvas, our students have had consistent learning whether they are in person or remote. We have also added Saturday school and after-school tutoring to help close learning gaps. With our staff, we continue to target our walkthroughs and feedback as well as check their Canvas courses weekly. We celebrate successes on various platforms of their choice. We have given 1 PLC time back to teachers for planning and collaboration. We have also worked with grade levels to identify essential standards and drill down to the specific skills to ensure that every student's needs are being met. So on the next slide is our literacy goals. I am not going to go through them for the lack of time for this, but these are our literacy goals for Domain 1, Domain 2, and our House Bill 3. So the next slide shows third grade reading benchmarks. On the left is a comparison of last year's in the gray, this year's in the turquoise, and our campus goal in the green. We did improve 1 point from last year and continue to diligently work on our grade level goals. On the right in red and blue are our English and Spanish scores, which of course make up our overall scores. So the next slide is fourth grade results. We did take a dip in both English and Spanish. We know we still have work to do, but we are on a great path with these students. Again, to the right is a comparison of our monolingual and our bilingual classes. Then we have our fifth grade results. We did decrease overall. However, we do have a new teacher in this grade level that is learning HMH. You can see the comparison on the right between our monolingual and bilingual classes. Our bilingual class did increase significantly, and we are excited about the growth that we have seen with them. We also wanted to take a look at our cohort data to track if students are progressing from year to year. So this slide depicts that information. On the left is our English cohorts. We made growth from third to fourth. We did take a dip from fourth to fifth. On the right is our Spanish. Though our fourth grade students took a dip, and we are again continuing to work, our fifth graders who took the Spanish benchmark grew 32%. So the next slide represents our middle of year TextKia assessment. So that is our kindergarten assessment. Early literacy is one of our big rocks. We know that it must be a focus, and it is crucial to being able to support students as they move through grade levels. On the left, we have a comparison of our English and Spanish, English in blue, Spanish in red. On the right, you see our overall percentage, English in blue, Spanish in red, the overall in turquoise, and the goal is in our green. Now, we included our 1-year goal, which is what these kids are being measured on this year. So that is our 2021 goal, which we have surpassed, and we've almost surpassed our 5-year goal as well in the middle of the year. So we're super excited of what the rest of the year is going to bring. The next slide depicts our first and second grade students for TPRI Tejas Ley. The turquoise shows the overall combined, and the green is our 2021 goal. We are very close to meeting our goal in first grade, and though second grade is slightly below, knowing where those students started with us at the beginning of this year is very promising to where we are going to end with targeted instruction. So just a couple action steps for our literacy. Campus admin are supporting teachers by pulling small groups. Strategic planning has been scheduled for teachers to collaborate as a district and plan skill-specific lessons based on their individual data. And our reading interventionist is working with kinder through third grade students as well as with our teachers on how to implement effective early literacy skills. Our next slide is writing, which continues to always be a focus on our campus. Our benchmark data is next. We did increase 1 point, and this benchmark was the first one that these kids have actually seen as a star writing benchmark. Though we continue to focus on this, we are pleased to know that our instruction is on track with these students. The next slide shows the English testers on the right, and we remain the same, and then and our teachers again continue to work diligently to disaggregate data and target skills since our benchmark. We also increased 1 point with our bilingual students, and that is with having a long-term sub, so that was very exciting. A few different action steps that were not mentioned before is we do have Saturday school and tutoring taking place to target specific students. Our fourth grade is meeting to collaborate on effective writing strategies as a district, and all teachers on campus are continuing to implement one writing to learn activity in math and science weekly. So then we move on to math, and this is again one of our big rocks. We have decreased in each grade level, as you will see with our benchmark scores. So third grade is shown first. Overall, you can see we decreased in math, and our teachers are focusing on targeting skills and supporting student success. We did have 1 teacher gone for the majority of the fall due to maternity leave. The next one, fourth grade, also decreased. We do have 1 new teacher in this grade level, though our teams are working very collaboratively to target instruction for all of this. The next slide is our fifth grade benchmark, which decreased as well. Cohort data is next. In fourth grade, there was a slight decrease of 6%, and in fifth grade, 8%. But with analyzing and planning our skill-specific instruction, we will see improvement this year. The next slide represents our early numeracy. In kinder through second grade, we did make quantile growth. For Imagine Math, the goal is to have at least a growth of 50, and we did that in our kinder, first, and second. So some action steps that have not been previously noted. We are tracking the weekly usage of Imagine Math, and we're giving incentives to winning grade levels for each week. And our math coordinator has met with all teachers individually to differentiate the support that each teacher needs. We also continue to focus on science for yearly improvement. Our data for our fall benchmark is shown, though we had a slight decrease of 5 points. We did hire an amazing science teacher who has really helped students connect to science through many real-world objects and experiences. We are excited to see what our spring semester of learning will bring with him. We want to highlight some celebrations on our campus. We were the recipient of school supplies from World Vision. We were one of 4 schools. We have adapted our greetings, which is very important to me, to continue to ensure students feel loved and welcome when they walk on our campus. Having students just back in person was a huge success. We continue to celebrate our students with Red Wars tickets where they get to go and have a treat each day. Our custodial staff, I think, needs to be recognized. They work very hard to keep our campus clean and ready every day. And our teachers are giving incentives not only to in-person students, but remote students, which you can see drive-bys to say hi, to give them treats. And so that has been a huge celebration. Literacy continues to also be a focus as our librarian and paraeducator work hard to keep books in the hands of all of our students. We also have implemented a bingo board, and when it is filled out, students get to receive a new book of their choice. So our new teachers were given a survey in the fall, and these are a couple of our highlights that we wanted to show. 100% of our teachers agree that support received impacts student learning. 100% of our teachers agree that campus admin makes sustained efforts to address instructional practices and support. And 100% of our teachers agree that they receive support and differentiated based upon individual needs. Our big rocks will continue to be focused on our targeted improvement plan, pre-K through 5 literacy, numeracy, writing, and instructional continuity for all students, including motivation. This has been a lot of information, but I appreciate the opportunity to share CE with you all.
Ken?
So, and I apologize, Ms. Chandler, I should have asked her this one as well. So how much, so the way we ended last year, the way we started this year, how much of an impact did that have on the students?
Oh, so in math, in particular, it had a huge impact. We could do videos last year, which we did. Our teachers worked very hard, right? When we had a day to get things ready to go into remote learning in March. And so they could watch videos, but not all the students were watching videos or being engaged. And so that probably was our biggest impact, was that like problem solving. Our 3rd graders have really struggled with that, and we're not surprised about the dip in benchmark. Because we weren't always able to connect with them last year to help them learn how do you work through these problems. Again, had they been taught and instructed, absolutely up till March, but in 1st grade, March to May is like their time where they just grow. And so again, seeing where 2nd grade started this year, but seeing where we're at, just shows you how much effort our entire campus and the whole district, all 3 campuses are the same. We're putting a lot of effort and it's showing. It's going to take some time, but it's showing.
Anybody else? Tracy?
Just real quickly, again, I think it should be celebrated what you were doing. I think these are great numbers. You said something about skill set proficiency. Did I hear that right? Something about
Skill-specific instruction.
Does that mean that they're getting their foundation learning, that we feel good about where they are
Yes, and
overall?
Right, where our teachers are also taking, so like for benchmarks, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th, analyze the benchmarks where the kids missed. So if they missed a word problem, it wasn't just they missed the word problem, but what did they miss in that word problem that we can target specifically in small group. And it might just be one little thing that they just need one instruction and they move out, but it also might be something a little bit bigger. Some of our kids for math not only need computation, they need comprehension. So those are 2 very different skills in word problems. So they're drilling down to exactly what each student needs so that they can ensure that that student is getting what they need.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yes.
And just one question for you, Dr. Ramos. I'm seeing that we're having to do a lot of contacting parents. Are we staffed to handle this? Do we need to hire more people?
So that's been the age-old question since I think we started contacting parents in public education. Certainly, when we were starting the remote learning, our teachers were very diligent, contacting parents every day. Your child didn't log in, your child didn't log in. As we start getting more and more kids coming to school, right, you're juggling so many different things. Now, they are still working very hard to contact parents. Do we have staff? Absolutely not. But who else could be better to call the parent than the teacher, right? And let them know what's going on, what struggles they're having. So that's kind of one of those questions that certainly, I wish I could have just two operators per campus just calling parents all the time. The great thing is, and I've seen this on all the campuses, even our secondary campuses, principals are calling, assistant principals are calling, campus academic leaders are calling, counselors, social workers, teachers, paraeducators, secretaries. I mean, it truly is taking a village to get where we need to be, absolutely. So,
So do you feel good that we have enough staff that's not so overwhelmed and so
Sure.
overburdened?
well, I can tell you, they're certainly tired and they're certainly overwhelmed, no doubt about that. And the next ticket item that we'll talk about after our CIPs hopefully will help relieve some of that stress for our teachers and staff.
Still, congratulations on working through a pandemic.
Thank
We've
you.
never been more rigorous in a pandemic. Thanks.
You said something about greeting. Do you do something to greet?
I do my elbow bumps, right? Because I was the high five, and up until we went remote, I was like, I'm gonna do high fives, and then we went remote in March, and then my nurse told me you can absolutely not give high fives anymore. That is my greeting. I have a couple kids that have gotten better. They used to run up and just hug me, and it would be like, oh, I'm not supposed to hug. So elbow bumps, but our teachers have them outside their doors too. So when our teachers greet for breakfast, the kids can choose what social greeting they get, or the social distancing greeting, but that's just important for me. And I will tell you, I have a heart on my door that a kid brought to me last week and said, I love Miss Stapp because she greets me every morning. That's why we're there.
Good. So you said something about revoking remote learners who are unsuccessful.
Yes.
What do you do?
So we have specific criteria that we have been given from central admin, so such as kids failing, kids not participating in remote learning. We do a committee with teachers, parents, counselor, admin. We talk to the parents, we figure out what's going on. And so for us, we have given some parents, we'll give you a week to try to figure this out and get it together before we say your kid is coming back. And so we try to work partners with parents, because a lot of times parents say, well, my kid said they did this and this, but we have the proof to say, like, no, did you check Canvas? Did you look here? Did you look here? So really supporting parents. So we have revoked a few that just continue to not come. We have a couple in daycare that they have to wear a mask at daycare, and that's why they sent them there in a lower grade. And so what I told parents was, your kid can wear a mask. Like, we can ask them. We encourage every kid. I can't force them, but I can encourage. And so, in fact, I had a parent, we've had several that have come to Saturday school that were remote, and we have, in fact, gotten more in-person kids in the last week because they saw the safety measures we had in place were, in fact, safe. And so they're like, our kids need this. Yes. So we try to work with parents before we just say your kid is coming back to campus, but there are some that we just need that they are capable, but with what they're doing, they are not showing us.
It's quite time consuming, isn't it?
It is, but we split. We have a great campus admin and counselors, again, that we split all of our duties and work together, because we have to. We have to work as a team to get it all done.
All right, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
like your digital sign, by the way.
Thank you. I do too. It's pretty fantastic.
Could I ask a question real quick?
I'm sorry.
I've been sitting here thinking about it, but I noticed this with Ms. Strangler's report also, and I think it was just in the reading, but some of the games that were larger than the others were in Spanish. What do you attribute that to?
So funny, we talked about this as we were doing our presentation, that might be a question. And I will tell you, my bilingual teachers are the ones that we keep and retain year to year. Those are my consistent teachers that have gone through all of this and know HMH. my monolingual teachers are definitely my ones that are more inconsistent with staying here. So I think that's huge, right? And they work really hard to carry our English teachers, our monolingual teachers, but again, it's different because they're teaching Spanish at least 3 weeks out of the 6 weeks. So, but I absolutely think they're the teachers that we are able to retain every year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, we have Miss Turner at Joy James Elementary, who is going to astound and wow us with her information.
Yes,
Good
indeed.
evening.
Good evening, everyone, board members, Dr. Ramos. Thank you for this opportunity to share what we are accomplishing at Joy James this year. And what a fitting theme we have, it's Rise Up. And it has taken many reminders that our calling is to rise up, and it's our calling to guide our students to rise up as well. Through all the obstacles that you've already heard about, our Joy James team entered this year, focus on our circle of control. And this is what has kept us moving forward in a positive manner. I want to briefly discuss the emotional side. Educating through a pandemic has presented a constant underlying presence of fear. Fear of our health, fear of being able to learn new ways to engage students and families, but mostly the fear of will we be able to give our students enough to bring academic and especially social emotional success during these times. What this presents is an undercurrent that is ever present, and it's an emotional stress, which is much heavier than a physical stress and a physical tiredness. However, our campus and our district has broadened our circle of control so that we have been able to continuously rise up to each new challenge. Here and throughout our data, you'll see our efforts to minimize the academic loss are helping. This particular chart shows that each 6 weeks our failure rates are decreasing. Most of the remaining remote learners that we have are those that can sustain learning in this particular mode. Our big rocks this year have kept us focused on building teacher capacity and providing strong Tier 1 instruction with all modes of learning so that every student gains a minimum of 1 year's growth in reading. Much of this is being accomplished by empowering our teachers, our students, and families with leadership development. Starting with literacy, again, our heaviest focus has been on every student achieving 1 year's growth, which in return will help us increase our Domain 1 and our Domain 2. Kindergarten shows that we currently have 56% of our students on or above grade level, which is actually a 2% increase from where we were at this time last year. First grade shows us currently at 61% or above grade level with an average of 0.6 years growth for our students, which I think is big. That means they've already grown 0.6 of a year, 0.6 year. That is very encouraging to keep us moving, that we are making a difference. Second grade is in a similar position with 62% on or above grade level and an average of 0.6 years growth overall. With our third grade benchmark scores, you can see we decreased in both English and Spanish. We have a strong support system in place because we know that this group missed some crucial developmental stages in their second grade year. In fourth grade, we have a 6% increase over last year's scores. There are increases with Domain 1 scale scores also, and as a whole, this cohort shows an 8% increase for Domain 2. In fifth grade, historical data shows we are slightly behind last year's scores, but when our data is broken down into specific skills and individual progress, we have full confidence that this group of students is on track to show growth. Some of the actions that we have taken in reading are we have a continued focus on phonological awareness and refinement in our reading blocks for K through 2. With the assistance, of course, of our TLI team and our campus interventionists. Consistent progress monitoring and identification of essential skills, daily implementation of iStation, increased support for small group instruction, and with our resource and inclusion programs as well, and most importantly, a campus-wide focus on our reading goal. Every student has set their goal, and they know what their point A is, what their point B is. They have designed their own personal action plans, and they track their own personal progress to make it to that end of the year growth. Here are our math math goals. In K through 2, we have consistently implemented Imagine Math. We met our mid-year target of 50 in all grade levels. We well surpassed that goal, and we are on track to meet our end of the year targets as well. With benchmark results, we show in 3rd grade that we have taken a large dip in comparison to where we were last year. And again, though, remember 3rd grade is a year with a big jump academically for this age student. But we are working diligently with this group to ensure that gaps are filled. With 4th grade, we are exactly where we were last year and on track for continued growth. In 5th grade, we have taken a dip in scores in comparison to last year. However, our cohort data shows our students are approximately at the same place that they have been each year. Math action steps have been based on filling in gaps with fundamental skills while at the same time accelerating the learning process so that we provide success for on grade level learning. And I feel like that's a big key. You'll hear me say on grade level instruction a lot because we cannot fall into the trap of constant remediation. It has to be both. We're working closely with our TLI team to accomplish that and to create and constantly refine our instructional pathways for the students in each class. Our goal for 4th grade writing is to increase from a 67 to a 72. Our benchmark data shows that we are slightly behind with an overall 2% decrease, which is relatively exciting compared to our past history with writing overall. To increase this growth, we are working closely with TLI on data analysis and skill identification for use with our instruction. Our Cal and admin are working with teachers and students on feedback conferences, and we have increased our special education support with our resource and inclusion program. You see here next our science goal on the left. Our benchmark results on the right show only a 1% decrease in scores with historical comparisons. Science is one area that is impacted heavily by COVID because it is best with in-person hands-on instruction and exploration. In science, our teachers are working closely with TLI for guidance with planning and resources to keep our students on track. We have a strong focus on writing to learn and a heavy focus on vocabulary and language development. We have also increased RTI efforts along with small group instructional support. Next, you will see a few of our efforts to overcome the obstacles that COVID restrictions created in regards to the social aspect of a school. We strive to maintain our traditions, we're just adding digital twists to them. Our family is strong. We chose to use the circumstances to enhance our parent knowledge and the ability to support the learning process at home with instructional guidance from our teachers. Our counselor and our social worker have really worked hard this year, and they've used parent input to develop virtual learning series for our parents, and our effort has also taken our Leader in Me philosophy into the homes with the adults, and this has been really great to see. Our parents are now learning the 7 habits, and they're beginning to implement them with their families. So that's been a really positive part of the COVID because we were pushed to a level that we were not that we didn't think we were ready for, and we're hitting thousands of people the difference would be if we hit a couple hundred if they showed up in person. So it really has catapulted us to a new level. Leadership development has also been taken to a new level this year with our student program. The difference this year is that our students themselves are designing the programs that they're involved in, and they design what direction they take based on their own peer input surveys. Our students are learning to not only identify the needs, but to take initiative in problem solving and make a difference for themselves and for those around them. So in spite of all the challenges this year has brought and all the thoughts we have of where we could be if COVID hadn't hit, our team of teachers, parents, and students have maintained.
Just again, I think y'all are all doing a great job. You really are heroes, and so I think you should feel good about it. I'm not seeing anything alarming at all in these reports, and I think that we should all be thankful to all.
I agree with what Ms. Stapp said. It's obviously going to have an impact, and it will take some time to make up. But I do, Dr. Ramos pointed out earlier that we really are worlds beyond other districts. And I think our learning loss will be at a minimum because of the efforts that we've been able to take.
And we're tracking their developmental stages, and so I kept hearing that through all the reports, and so I think y'all are on the ball, so appreciate it, thank you. And partnership, I like those words.
What are some things that you've done for teacher appreciation and support?
So we on our campus, we do what everybody else does with different treats and things like that periodically. But we learned really quick that our teachers needed that intrinsic motivation of, am I making a difference this year? Is anything I'm doing working? And so we redeveloped how the three of us work with our teachers through our walkthroughs and feedback to them. And we consistently show them team data with our walkthroughs, and it has really motivated them to see, oh, hey, look, we are making a difference, and we are, as professionals, growing. But as professionals growing, our students are also growing as well. So a lot of our culture at Joy James is based on a very intrinsic motivation that that keeps our school running. So.
I think we have all seen, this is our third year now of offering full-day pre-K. We can see some of the growth with our kinder and our first graders who have been through our full-day pre-K in their reading levels in math. And I really think if COVID wasn't here, you would see some astronomical growth. And Ms. Shea and Ms. Greer, I see you shaking your head. As we talked about when we went with full-day pre-K, we said it's going to take a little while for those babies to come up the educational pipeline, but I'm very encouraged to see what our future holds with those babies. And then as we progress, our interventionists have been doing everything they can. Our dyslexia numbers are growing, and so we certainly are providing more support there. I mean, we could talk data probably for 5 hours. Seriously, we really could, but one of the things that I'm most proud of from each and every one of you, principals, and I've heard this from teachers, during a stressful time when you see a little dip, our leadership, even at our district level, we're not, banging the hammer saying, why are we doing that, why are we doing that? It's not a fire and brimstone approach. It's a nurturing approach, it's a collaborative approach, it's an approach of what can I do to help you? And I can tell you those teachers are singing your praises, and we really appreciate that. And certainly when you have a room full of very intelligent people like we do today, we all have different ways on how we think we can get to that student success. But I am very, very proud, almost like I wouldn't say dad, maybe an old grandpa, seeing how everyone has kids at the elementary level, and probably more than that, showing up on Saturdays. That doesn't happen by accident. And so I've heard culture. You folks have built something really special on your campuses. So thank you for everything that you're doing for our kids.
And I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the board to thank you for the gifts you recently shared with us and the board appreciation. They were personalized and appreciated. Thank you for that. You honored us, and we want to serve you the best we can. I'm going to move to the next item.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to move to item number 4B1. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip one?
Yes, sir. 482.
482. Okay. Yes, the teacher planning day.
Yes, Mr. Board President, Board of Education. Very simply put, TEA has given districts the flexibility to take some of our days and use those as professional learning days, give teachers time to prepare for remote and face-to-face instruction. And so what you see before you is 3 dates that we are proposing that on those days all our students would be remote and our teachers would have opportunities to come to work and plan. when we talked, or I had an opportunity to talk to a couple of teachers, I said, what if we were able to do this? Two of them is staff on your campus said, oh my gosh, that would be a blessing. Probably the most valuable thing you can give a teacher is time. And what we're asking the board to consider later on today is to basically to allow the flexibility that TEA has given us to be able to provide our teachers, even our administrators as well, time to be able to plan and get ready for either the next 6 weeks, or 3 weeks, the next 6 weeks. But we certainly want to give our teachers time back to be able to prepare for that. So, Ms. Smith-Faulkner, is there anything that you wanted to add to that? Okay. So we'll certainly entertain any questions that the board may have on this.
So we'll be voting on it later, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, now we'll move to 4B1 and TGL.
Yes, Mr. Board President, we have Mr. Adrian Galvan with TGL to just briefly remind the board on our bond refinancing, go over the numbers one more time. And really, this is just one more opportunity for the board to be able to ask any questions prior to the recommendation being made to the board to consider later this evening. Thank you, Mr. Galvan, for being here.
Thank you for having me, board members. Dr. Ramos, thank you for allowing me to give this presentation. For the record, my name is Adrian Galvan with TGL Financial, and I'm giving a presentation. It's similar to the one we gave at the last board meeting. And if we go to page 2 of the presentation.
Sorry, Adrian. And
Yes, sir.
board, you actually have a copy of this presentation on your desk as well. Yes, sir. Sorry, Mr. Galvan.
So when we were here at the last board meeting, it was an idea, it was a suggestion, it was something to consider. Now we're looking at it as an actual refunding plan of finance, where we've actually worked out a timetable, built in the cost, built in the schedule to actually move forward with this financing. And page 2 this is the same page that I shared with you. I've got an actual call date of April 16, 2021. So this is going to tie to the next page where I show you the timetable. And I've updated the savings box. If you look at the yellow quadrants on page 2, so we stay on page 2 for just a second. So the old interest rates are at 3.6%, and at current market rates, you're able to replace that with a 0.54%. And that would achieve with the latest rates $257,000 of savings. That's a shaded box there on the left. And we've put the savings in years 23 through 24. Those are the years where you're able to keep most of the money instead of having to share it with TA, with state aid. And the bottom, I've got 2 bullets at the bottom. By putting the savings in years 23 through 25, you're able to drop the tax rate in those years 0.7 cents, and that provides additional capacity if you were to go with the bond election in the future. And the capacity that's created, even though it's a refunding for savings that drops your INS tax rate, so you don't cash out. But the capacity that's created would allow additional of $240,000 of a bond election of debt capacity to be increased in those years. So even though you don't cash out, the capacity is creating election in the future. If you go to page 3, so this is the timetable. This is what takes it from an idea to an actual, hey, this is a plan, and these are the dates that we need to hit to lock in the savings as quickly as possible. If you look at, there's 2 line items on this timetable before the blue shaded box. We started working on this the day after the last meeting. We prepared the first draft of the offering document, the official statement. We circulated that with staff, and they've been very helpful in providing comments. So we've got to jump on this. If you were to approve this later on as an action item, we've already done some of the work to get this thing going. And if you count the days between February the 8th, today, if we're given the parameters approval, and I'll explain that in a little bit, to March 10th, the proposed pricing date, that's 30 calendar days. Usually a financial advisor will get in front of you and say you need 6 weeks, you need 8 weeks to get a financing done. We've got this thing on a 30-day schedule. And the reason for that is we want to lower the 3.6 rate to the 0.5 percentage point as soon as possible. But the quicker you lock in those rates, the sooner you start paying that lower interest rate. So time is of an essence. Even if rates stayed the same, if you wait longer, you're going to leave some of the savings on the table because you're going to stay paying that higher rate. So the schedule has us, if approved today, for a parameters approval, February the 8th. On March the 10th, we lock in the pricing and actually lock in the actual rates. And after that, at the next meeting, we can present to you the final results. And the way a parameters approval deal works is that you delegate staff, superintendent, usually it's a superintendent or your finance director, to execute this on behalf of the board. That gives you the flexibility, so if we're actually able to get this thing ready before March 10th pricing, we can do it the week before. It gives you that flexibility of not having to time it to a board meeting. If you don't use parameters, if you don't have that flexibility, you have to price the day before or the day of a board meeting and get approval, and that really limits you on being able to execute on the financing. If you turn to page 4, this is the working group, proposed working group, and we've worked with staff and the superintendent. Of course, be assured, with financial advisors, thank you again for allowing us the opportunity to do this. TGL Financial, bond attorney, Escamilla Ponic, paying agent. Just to give you an example, on the paying agent, just switching a paying agent on this deal is a savings from $750 a year to $400, and that's something that we work together with your staff. That's an annual expense, and we've worked very well with BOKF, and it's just an example of how we're trying to add value and bring ideas and bring savings to the district. The proposed underwriter is UMB Bank and Underwriters Council, so every time there's a financing, you need an attorney to represent the district, that's the bond counsel, and then there's an Underwriters Council that represents the underwriter side, and that's paid from their side. So both sides are represented. And that's the end of the presentation. I'll stop here for any questions on what I presented, and again, thank you.
Anybody? Down here, Doug? So I understand that this will reduce, we can reduce the tax rate, you said with this,
Yes, sir.
then we'll increase it with the bond issue, right?
It'll ratchet down your tax rate in years 23 through 25 by 7/10 of a penny. So that reduction, if you don't have a bond election, then the savings will pass through on your INS tax rate. If you do have a bond election, that will give you an additional capacity for future debt, and that's quantifiable to $240,000 of more projects that you can do just by moving forward on this refinancing. The rocket science was done earlier by what your teachers are doing. This is basic, doing a refi and trying to take advantage of these low rates.
Yep. Dr. Ramos, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and I want to say, just to piggyback, you guys are one of the kindest school districts we work with, and the staff and the finance director, they've all been very, very grateful, very helpful to us. And even at the end of the last meeting, you guys are trying to feed us. So I just want to say thank you. You guys are, and I know we're already hired, so I'm not trying to get hired again, but you really are. We really enjoyed working with you so far. Thank you.
So far, I like that little disclaimer.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
In a world where you can be anything you want to be kind.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. The board is going to go into closed session. Would like to say to our principals, if you wish to stay and have dinner with us, you are welcome to do that. That will help you, or you enjoy that. You're invited. So The board may return to closed session at any time between opening and adjourning the meeting for the purpose of deliberating business authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act. Action, if any, will be taken in open session specifically for 551-074 for the purpose of considering appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or hear complaints against a public officer. 551-072, the purpose of discussing real estate. 551-0821 for the purpose of considering a matter regarding a public school student where personal identifiable information about the student will necessarily be revealed. So at this time, the board will retire to closed session. And we'll ask everyone.
I just noticed that.
I'm texting her right now.
We're trying to look at this.
Last time.
Tracy gets too nervous. No, of course not.
She said someone else could